Welcome to the Marketing for the Culture podcast, powered by the African American Marketing Association. Each week, we'll bring you an insightful conversation from some of the best experts in our industry on how to advance our career. Join the collective of Black marketers across the world, advancing their brand as we work towards creating a collaborative community.
We got a what?
Hey, good people. This is Michelle Gomez. Welcome to the Marketing for the Culture podcast. And as you can tell, today's special guest, Yvonne Pearson, already has me cracking up. She is the founder of Pink Dollhouse Marketing and a longtime supporter of the African American Marketing Association. Yvonne, welcome to the show. How are you doing today? And I'm going to go on mute now.
You're going to go on mute? You don't have to go on mute, Michelle. You don't have to go on mute, but I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, girl.
You don't have to do that. I'm very happy to be here with you today. First of all, let's give you your flowers for starting this podcast. I listen to a lot of marketing related podcasts, and I don't think I've heard any led by a Black woman that specifically highlights things for our culture. So thank you for starting one. And I think that this is an awesome opportunity. You know, we already connected before, but for me to share, I guess, my expertise with your listeners, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I appreciate the love. I was going to name this the Marketing Perspectives. And when I was doing the intro, I knew something was missing. So I went back to the drawing board and I was like, Marketing for the Culture. And when I was going through the different podcast platforms, it was just the Neil Patels and the Michael Stelzners.
It was missing some Laurie's, and some adobo seasoning. Are we boycotting them? We're not boycotting them, right? I don't know, but it was missing some seasoning with a little love in there, because as you know, marketing is still very, it needs work in terms of diversity and inclusion. So you're doing your thing. You're doing your thing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So enough about me. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
Wow. So I'm Yvonne Pearson. I am a 9-to-5preneur who founded Pink Dollhouse Marketing 5 years ago. And it's a small marketing agency based in the Washington, D.C. metro area. For those of y'all who don't know the map, just know D.C., Maryland, Virginia, I cover all of that. And I've been doing marketing focused on branding, also helping out nonprofits who cannot afford to hire someone to do their marketing services full time. Because as you know, those of us who work in the field, it's expensive to, hire an agency. So I offer my services to minority and women-founded nonprofits to help them, as well as helping them find out who your voice is, because marketing is all about storytelling. So I help you tell a story. Outside of my business, Pink Dollhouse Marketing, I work as a marketing manager for a commercial real estate company here in the area, running marketing for 3 major shopping centers in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and doing the same thing during the day that I do in my second shift. When I love what I do, I genuinely enjoy it, and I'm excited to share, I guess, my story and my knowledge with your listeners today.
Yeah, so on the forum, you I genuinely love marketing.
I do.
So I guess what is it about the marketing that you just so love about it?
If you were to ask my mom, please don't. I've always been a very creative child growing up. I always was very imaginative and love to tell stories. And I can see things outside of the box of limitations other people had. I was also very colorful and wanted to express that creativity, but I really didn't know how. I thought initially being a doctor was the field that I was supposed to go into, but I never was in love with it until I discovered marketing in college. To be honest, for Black people, we're not encouraged to go into a creative field. That's something that you do on the side. That's your side hustle. If you want to make money, you go into a traditional career. And when I found marketing after taking an art history class in college, it just made sense. I saw a possibility to be something outside of what the limitations of society told me I was supposed to be. And since then, I've actively educated myself. I've done freelance work, gotten certifications. I'm the person reading articles and actually listening to podcasts like yours to learn more about how I can make myself better and more competitive. So I love what I do. Sometimes I give advice for free, though I got to stop myself from doing that sometimes, to people who may ask me questions about marketing.
Yeah, I get it. In your bio, you stated that the first thing you should know about marketing is how to sell yourself.
Yes.
Right. So what are some tips when it comes to selling yourself?
It's really knowing what your strengths are. Like, for example, with me, I know I have what I've been told personality, and I choose to reflect my personality through my glasses. And even when you look at me, my glasses are pink. So I keep my brand even in my eyewear. And anything that I wear when I go to a meeting or I'm interacting with a client, I make sure I have some form of pink on so they can understand this is Yvonne, Pink Dollhouse Marketing. Another thing that I've done too when it comes to learning how to sell myself, I've learned how to hone in on those strengths and then figure out how to connect with people with those strengths. So if someone is not super chatty in like a meeting setting, I don't try to force my personality on them. I try to listen to them and find out who they are and then figure out where we can connect on that level based on their interests. So it's really being genuine at the same time that's super important, because in a world of IG filters and people who are portraying false narratives about who they are, being authentic is super hard, unfortunately. So being authentic is actually the best thing that you can do when selling yourself.
Absolutely. I love what you said about branding, because there's so many things when it comes to marketing and branding, because the lines can be blurred with the help of social media, obviously.
Oh, did you see my face when I did that? Oh.
So break down branding for us. And I guess the importance of putting that element literally into your personal brand, right? Not just the creative of graphics or just visuals, but even in your appearance. And how were you able to, incorporate that?
Yeah, I'll use one of my favorite personal examples. Anyone who knows me know I love Tracee Ellis Ross. She is one of my favorite celebrities. Tracy girl, if you listen out there, I use Pattern every day. But she is one of my favorite celebrities because she is authentic. She is her true self in interviews on her social platforms. So when she launched Pattern, it was a continuation of who she is. She didn't just launch a hair care brand and then all of a sudden started wearing her natural hair. Tracee, even from the days of Girlfriends, has been wearing her natural hair for years, right? So she was able to then take her passion and share that with people through her followers and genuinely build an audience as an extension of who she is. A lot of times when people, unfortunately, when they do different things, launch products, launch goods, you never see them in the actual product or service until it's time to launch. You never see them, for example, if you are a wine connoisseur, then why do I see you drinking cocktails at brunch every week? If you're a wine connoisseur, why is your feed all about, the new shoe that's out there? If you're going to be an expert on something, speak on your social platforms or any platforms, if it's down to an e-newsletter, about what your love and your passion is. So when you do roll out a product or service, it connects with your audience and it makes sense.
So that's a very good example of Tracee Ellis Ross, because I'm a long time follower of Girlfriend, from back in the day. So that's a very good example. Now, that was in what? I don't know, 20, when did Girlfriends come out?
We still didn't get our series finale episode. I'm still waiting for that. We got Friends. They got a whole closeout. HBO. I'm still waiting for my closeout episode for Girlfriends. I want to know what happens.
And they just had a reunion, but
I didn't watch. I wasn't a fan. I was living single fan.
Oh, all the way.
Hey, Regine.
I definitely got to take these clips and tag. What was I going to say? Okay. So fast forward, we're in 2021 now, right? Now you have, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but now you have, I'm multi-passionate, multi-hyphenated. So
I really need to learn how to control my face. I'm working on it, but please go ahead with your question. I'll be good. I promise.
And I think I'm guilty of this. I'm a little bit better than most, but how do you juggle all of these brands? I bake cookies, I sell houses, and I'm working on a children's book. Go.
So let's use another example I love, Tiana Taylor. Tiana Taylor, she even said it in her song, A Rose in Harlem, she do everything, Like she is a multi-hyphenate, but she does it well. There's a way that you could be a multi-hyphenate and do things well without jumping from project to project to project. When you jump from project to project and you're not focused on it, something's going to fall off. You're going to have something that's either not rolled out correctly or looks sloppy or is not fully thought through. There are ways that you could be that chef who then releases a cookware line, who then has a cookbook, like Tia from Sister Sister. Love her. She does multi-hyphenate very well. She is an actress. She is a mother. She is an influencer. And she's also a cook with her, nutritional cookbook. But each and every time she does something, it is on her platform. There's a focus for it and there's a voice for it. You cannot do these multi-hyphenate things without having a voice for each one of these products or services you're pushing out, while tying in your voice as well to push it out on your own personal platforms.
I don't follow celebrities on social media for personal reasons, like unknown personal reasons, but you are like really bringing out some good examples. And I'm like, I should go follow these ladies.
You should, but they're also, what I love about them, they're relatable in their brands. And it also helps me because it's like, sometimes people think they have to put on this persona to be successful on social media. No, you don't. Look at Cardi B. Cardi B started out on social, well, we all know how she started.
Raw.
But Cardi B started out on social media being Cardi B. She still is Cardi B, but she has also toned it down to meet the broader audience that she now reaches with her over, I think, 10 plus million followers on the gram alone. But at the same time, it was able to translate into multiple brand deals for her that she didn't have to fully wash out who she is to meet this perspective. That's what's important.
Yeah. Are there any men that are doing a good job branding?
Hold on. I do follow some men on the gram, not just for their looks, but I follow. I would have to say, let me think about that. What's that fine man from Lawrence? Lawrence from Insecure. I like him.
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, Jay Ellis. And also Lance Gross.
Okay.
I like as well. Will Smith is another one I love. Been following him for years. Yeah. And also, I don't know if you follow this influencer couple, Deval Ellis.
Yeah.
Yes, Deval has done a great job, him and his wife, Kay Ellis, of building a brand on social media based around their family and their millennial marriage. And it's also been authentic, showing the days, day in and day out, and also the struggles that come with being a young married couple. So there are men out here doing their things as well.
Yeah, and so for me, that's probably the best example, because even though I don't follow him, I do feel like I've literally seen this brother as well as the couple, their come up, right? And although he played football, part of me is kind of like, you know what? I'm just like him. I'm just like her. And I do find them a little bit more relatable compared to celebrities. And then today, June 21st, they just announced they're pregnant with their fourth child. Yeah. Yeah. And it was
I haven't been on the gram today, so I didn't see it. This is a real reaction. I'm so excited.
Yeah, she did a beautiful video.
Oh.
But yeah, I like them. I love them. I think they're great. And obviously this past 2 years, they've been killing the game. So,
yeah. And that also shows too that when it comes to influencers, you can translate your influence into monetized opportunities. A lot of times people think that when you're tagging these brands, they're not watching. Trust me, they're watching. And even if you don't have 13,000 plus followers, there are micro and macro influencers who are pulling campaigns I even sometimes when I tag brands, they slide into my DMs and say, hey, can we use this for our campaign? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Because I call myself a retired influencer. I'm not an influencer anymore. I just take pictures and have fun. But people connect with me on my platforms and they want to get to know me as well. It's just not my focus anymore. So I'm like, I'm fine.
Wow, that's a great idea. And I need to do a better job of tagging brands, but there was a reason why I talked to you today, because what I'm about to roll out, I need to do that. So thank you. Thank you for that.
No
So, but on the influencer marketing thing, since you're retired, what other knowledge can you share with us? Because that is the it thing right now.
Yeah, I started blogging or when blogging was still very new in the early thousands. So I did blogging / influencing between 2010 and 2015 or 16, one of the two. And it was a way for me to build up my portfolio so I could get an entry level position in marketing, actually. Because when I graduated, it was the height of the recession in 2009 and there were no jobs really available. So blogging was my way of showing my content and copywriting skills, showing my social media skills. Hashtags were still very new, and also showing my skills with taking photos and being creative with next to nothing in terms of, the clothes I had in my closet. I wasn't rocking designers. I was working at Bloomingdale's buying them on clearance with a discount, trying to like make it look like something with my rainbow fashion finds. My friends will probably scrunch their nose up at me saying that rainbow was it. Okay. It did what it needed to do. But I was doing all this and then taking these pictures and writing these blog posts, and brands started to reach out to me after a while because they liked the content I was putting out there. I wasn't your typical blogger. I didn't have the perfectly filtered photos, but I was a real body size. I was someone who was also a minority woman, something you didn't see a lot. And my audience, I had a pretty strong audience for being a blogger as well. And it just helped me to figure out, hey, what kind of brands do I want to work with? Who ties into my own personal story? I'm not just going to promote something just because they're paying me. I want to make sure whatever I'm pushing out to my followers and my readers, I actually use the product on a regular basis. Like I mentioned with Pattern. Hey, Tracy, if you want to send me some products, I'm your girl. But that's what I wanted to do. And I think with influencers, sometimes where they get lost is they want the clicks and the likes, but sometimes they don't want to express the truth behind their brand. So when it comes to like, if you're not someone who, I don't know, uses those weight loss pills that they keep trying to push in people's inboxes, and if you say you're about a body positivity movement, but you're pushing weight loss gummies, how is that tying into your brand? That is not authentic. You're not telling a real story. You're telling a representative of your story. But if you are, say, for example, someone who is body positive and you post a picture of you in a bikini from, say, Gabby Fresh Swimsuit for All line, that's more tied into your brand. That is something your followers will feel like they can relate to because they see themselves. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I mean, those are things that I've definitely struggled in as far as the storytelling aspect of it. And my friends, my true friends, so like, Michelle, you got to speak up. You have a testimony. And I'm like, girl, this is every day. And they're like, no, someone needs to hear this. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm working on now, and really getting outside of the business, because people know me for business and marketing, and trying to show a softer side, a personal side.
Mm-hmm. And it can be done. Like what I post on Pink Doll Style, my personal Instagram, I do not post on Pink Doll House Marketing, And also too, each platform has their own voice. On Twitter, I even put in my bio one time, I love reality TV. So you're going to get a mix of tweets about reality TV and also marketing at the same time. But on my personal Instagram, I'll, post things like stories about me and my mom going on walks or, hitting the walking trails or different things and activations I love to attend. I'm not going to give you a bunch of marketing speak on my personal platform because y'all not there for that. But on Pink Dollhouse Marketing Instagram, you are there for that. So it's just making sure your content fits the audience you're looking to reach out to.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm getting there. This is, for me, this is perfect timing. So thank you. I have work to do tonight.
It's a marathon, not a race, Michelle. It's fine.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So one thing that you pride yourself on, and I wish I heard this message years ago, is being I call it a sidepreneur, right? Do you feel like your job respects it, or you're lucky, or like, how do you feel about the balance of 9 to 5 and then 5 to 9?
Well, it does have its challenges. There are some days, like I told you before we got on this call, I was taking a nap because I needed a nap. There's some days where I'm working a 10-hour day at work, and then I'll hop on to my computer from 7 to 11 o'clock at night, or spend a whole day on my weekends working on tasks. But at the same time, I feel fulfilled in doing that. And honestly, I really don't talk to my job a lot about what I'm doing, because when I'm there at my 9 to 5, I'm there for my 9 to 5. Who I am outside of work, no offense, is none of your business. But as long as I show up professionally on a daily basis, you cannot say my work is slipping due to my other interests outside of work.
I agree with you. Any advice on how creatives should approach that, whether they're looking for a job or maybe they're currently struggling with the job they have now?
Yeah. So when I was doing my interview for my current role, I actually mentioned that I own my own business during the interview and how that could be an asset to my company based on the connections that I have. So based on my own personal connections, I mentioned that I could bring in certain graphic designers. I have relationships with influencers. So really there I go. Really market and promote it as a benefit and an asset to your company of additional skills they may not have looked at in a traditional sense of what value is that you can bring to the role and to the table.
That is really good, because I haven't heard of it before, haven't thought of it. I'm sure I've done it, but I think that's really good advice. And I also think just presenting that information with confidence as well helps. So if you have your business, stand by your business. Don't be timid, but speak up confidently and show how your business, your personal brand, can be an asset to the organization.
Yes, just don't use your computer at work, y'all. Please just buy a computer, because IT is watching. Okay, they know your keystrokes and everything. If they know you're on your personal website or Instagram all day long posting, that gets a trip to HR. We don't want that.
Do you feel like I'm like keeping it all the way real on the market podcast? I know for me back in the day, I feel like it was all or nothing. I didn't hear the messages of sidepreneurship and all that kind of stuff. And I felt like those times when I did have my 9 to 5, I felt like I was missing opportunities. Like I couldn't, man, it's like, God, I can't go. Or, only have these 10 PTO days.
Yeah, I remember
I have 10 PTO days out of, we'll say 365. I don't know how many working days, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
So any advice on navigating that?
Yeah. So one thing that I do is I actually don't do a bunch of trips throughout the year for Pink Dollhouse. I focus on maybe 1 or 2 things I really want to go to that's outside of the area, So that way, if I have to use my PTO, I'm using it strategically and I'm not just burning up my PTO. And also making sure that their events are going to bring me return on investment. A lot of times when you're doing these trips, you're spending your own money or your business money. What are you getting out of this? Is this just a day party you're going to just to post on the gram? Are you actually going to meet clients, to make connections, and then do follow-up emails, schedule them out? If you have Gmail, I love Gmail for this, but schedule them out, those follow-ups, so you can start those conversations about business. So that way it's not a waste of your personal time and your PTO. Second thing, I make sure that whatever I do for Pink Dollhouse, I do schedule those emails out. I make a schedule for myself. I call my second shift. So from either 6 to 9 or 7 to 11, 3 days out of the week. And from 6 a.m. to 12 noon, so I can make it to brunch. On the weekends, I work on Pink Dollhouse only.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay.
You know what Nipsey Hussle said? Hustle and motivate, you know?
I'm over here trying to like, what time do I go to sleep?
Well, I do. I go to bed earlier now too. I even changed my hours at work once we started transitioning back into the office. So I was the first one in already. I now get in earlier so I can leave earlier. Wow. And then that way I could take a personal break at home, pop open my laptop and start working on my business. I'm also very upfront with my clients about this as well. So when they're hitting me up during the day, they know that they may not get a response till later that evening. Or if they're texting me, they know that my response may be sporadic, but I will get to them.
Discipline. Do you see yourself going into full-time entrepreneurship?
You know, that is something that I am working towards. Unfortunately, as a Black woman, it takes a lot more steps for us to get there. So for me, I want to build myself to have a Pink Dollhouse, not as just my backup plan, but my only plan. By the time I would say I'm 40 or in my early 40s.
Okay.
And I'm 34 right now. Oh, wait, I'll be 34 next month. Hey, Cancer season.
Yeah, you know, I don't think there's a wrong answer for that. I've always admired the people, at least here in Houston, in my personal network, that have obtained, you know, management or C-level positions and then still have some type of side business. And I'm like, wow, like to me, that's dedication as well. And, you know, obviously the extra money pays for a lot of things. So
it does. It really helps because I'm me being in management as well. But I also know that the higher up I go, the less time I'll have to devote to Pink Dollhouse. And it's going to be a choice I have to make eventually. And then also, too, that you really don't see a lot of Black women, especially of our skin color, in those C-suite level roles. So unfortunately, the glass ceiling is there. I don't know how far away it is in my career trajectory, but it exists. And I'm not going to sit around waiting for me to hit the glass ceiling. I'm going to have my plan. So by the time that if that point reaches its level, I can at least say, well, I built this over here. I don't have to stay here for this. I'm out.
Speaking of glass ceiling, what does your shirt say? It says future VP. Yeah, future VP of marketing. Yes. So you did create a series of t-shirts. You want to go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah. So last year, I partnered with you and also You're a Corporate Black Girl to do Empower Black Women Marketers. It was a virtual fundraiser for shirts that have different sayings like this. Another one was coffee, content, create, repeat. And then there were other cool sayings as well. And each of the proceeds a percentage of the proceeds directly benefited the African American Marketing Association. And it was my goal to really bring awareness and highlight the fact that as of today, there's still only 6% of Black women in marketing, from entry level to C-suite roles. And while people are talking about the buzzword diversity and inclusion, we really don't have much diversity or inclusion in marketing. And when it comes to leadership, I wanted to make sure that Black women were able to see themselves or even wear a shirt that lets them envision where they could go in their marketing career.
Yeah, I love it. And 6% seems so low. And I feel like I know so many people, right? So it's like, do I know all of them? But it's crazy to me. I do think there's been a lot of Black marketing organizations or some type of community pop up since last year. So I'm hoping that number will definitely increase in the years to come.
Well, it does also too factor into the fact that there's not a lot of mentorship for Black women or Black professionals in general in this field. A lot of the people we're learning from don't look like us. They don't know our stories. They don't know how to tell our stories. That's why a lot of these brands get into trouble, because you don't have people at the table. Let's emphasize at the table, not making the copies to put on the table, but at the table, decision makers who actually can influence these decisions. There are a lot of times I have to use my voice and speak up when I see an ad that's being pushed out, and I'm looking at it like, where are the Black people? And then when you put the Black people in, why is no one darker than a paper bag? Like, let's show some diversity here and not make it look forced. But it takes courage, and also it takes a development of your professionalism to speak up in a way that does not make the people who have that power in the room feel like you are a threat to their existence. It is a fine line, unfortunately, you have to walk to make sure you keep your position while influencing the decisions that happen now and later.
Come on, Yvonne, with the word today. Okay.
Pass a collection plate. Give us your 10%. As an offering.
So we talked, well, you mentioned the partnership. So once again, thank you for that last year. And as I stated, there's been a lot of organizations that have popped up. I feel like, I don't know if it's like Black Renaissance 2.0 or 3.0, but there's definitely been a great emergence of Black creatives, and then the community that we're in, coming together to share resources, information, platforms, and things of that nature. So what have you seen, and what can you advise for our listeners?
I've seen a lot of, you mean in the organizational space or the creative space?
Both.
Okay. I've seen a few organizations pop up, like Black Women Marketers. The Black Marketers Association, I think, is another one that has popped up. Of course, yours, the African American Marketing Association. I think that is really great. And these grassroots initiatives are something that is needed. More importantly, it's the funding that's needed to support it. Because a lot of times when we start something, we don't get the same funding that our white counterparts receive when they start an initiative. It takes us a lot longer to generate actual revenue to support these goals and to put on these programs. So I really think it's important to drive home that message of membership is super important. And then also, though it may be hard for us to admit, start asking for money. Ask these Black-owned businesses, or even go to these financial institutions who are looking to increase their funding in diverse initiatives. That's another thing to think about. In terms of trends, I think that there's a lot more Black people who are using their own personal platforms to grow their audience and spread out their message at the same time through newsletters, through virtual conferences, and things like that. So it's just continuing to do the work. Though we may not be as visual as other people are, our community is really out there and it's growing. And make sure when you get your knowledge, pass it on to the next generation of marketers who are coming out. Don't just keep it for yourself. They need just as much help, if not more, than you do. They don't know how to navigate those spaces. They don't know what those microaggressions look like in corporate culture. They don't know how to speak up when they don't see themselves in an ad without feeling like they're offending the people in the room. So give that knowledge and train them up in the way that they should go. So when they talk about their personal successes, your name comes up in their story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Membership has been challenging because first we were charging for membership. And then when COVID hit, I was just a wreck because we were just completing year one. And now we have this pandemic and people are losing their jobs and all this kind of things. So we stopped charging for membership. And we've been very blessed. We've been very blessed to keep going, but it's definitely been challenging as a baby organization, as I like to say.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think you mentioned that you did some partnerships with like HP. Did you do a partnership with them not too long ago?
No, I've had conversations with a lot of organizations. We got a few sponsors last year.
Say that one more time. You got a few what?
Sponsors. We got a few sponsors and we've had some generous donations within the past year. So it's been a great ride in that regard.
But you brought up a good point. If you are having a hard time generating membership with your organization, doing it the way that you did, getting those sponsors, and even just starting to have those conversations with these large corporations, it may not pan into something right now, but it could pan into something in the future. So making sure that you're keeping in contact with that person and staying on top of their radar. Slide into some DMs. Don't just slide in the DMs. Put a message together that's short and sweet of what you're interested in and reach out to them. It does not hurt to shoot your shot. The only time you miss your shot is when you don't take it. Be Kobe.
Hey. No, that's real. That is real. And we just finished the sponsorship package. I updated again. So now that the podcast is launched, so I've been going crazy on just email outreach, and it's like, hey, it's me again. And, we'll just see what happens, but I know people are looking too. So as I like to say, the fortune is in the follow-up.
Yes.
So
yes.
Make sure you reach out to people.
And another thing to keep in mind too, know when budgets drop. Like if a company runs on a fiscal year or they run on a calendar year. Because a lot of times when companies get their budgets, if they run on a calendar year, they get it approved by the end of the year before the holidays. So be one of those first emails once New Year, approaches January, not the first week, no one's paying attention. But like that second or third week of January, reach out to them and see if there are any sponsorship opportunities, because that bucket is full at that time. You want to get that bucket the moment it's available for spending. Another thing to think about, if they are on a fiscal year, to start reaching out in June, I would say July, because that's around the time that their budgets get approved. Right. So that way you're top of mind for everything. But if you reach out in November, we poor. I get hit up all the time for donations, and it's around the holiday. Like, sis, why do you hit me up when it was hot outside? I have money to spend,
That's true. But I will say, you'll be surprised who's looking to make those last minute donations at the end of the year too.
All right. So, because we don't want that money to go to waste at the same time. But if you hit me up early, I could probably give you more money, as opposed to if you hit me up later in the year at the same time. So it just depends on your timing. And when you do reach out, don't do a bunch of back and forth emails. I don't have time for a bunch of back and forth. Send me what you're interested in. When you follow up, give me the whole package and what you're looking for and the due date that it's due by. If I do not follow up, I am not ignoring you. I get a bajillion emails. Follow up with me to see if you're still interested, and, do all the work for me. Fill everything in if I have to. And I just edit and sign.
Another thing, I was talking to a friend who also has a nonprofit, and he was like, I was like, have you reached out to any banks? And he was like, yeah, I reached out to some of the big banks. And I'm like, those are too big. Mm-hmm. I was like, you need to tap into your community bank, because some of these big banks, they're going to donate to the YMCAs, Red Cross, the bigger nonprofit institutions in this case, because they have a record. Right? They have brand equity and they have a record, but the community banks, I forgot they have some type of law, but they have to give X amount of money away to Black and Brown communities. Mm-hmm. Right. So if you have a nonprofit, that's good to know. Something about community reinvestment development or something like that. So you can look into it, but don't underestimate the smaller banks as well.
Yes. And one thing I will tell you, look into your commercial real estate companies, like the companies that are developers in the area. As someone who works for one, we support even the local soccer clubs for kids. We support the local arts and things like that. Like, we do those kind of donations. People don't often think to reach out to them because they think, how is my organization related to this? If they're developing property in your community, that means they're invested in your community. So it may not be thousands of dollars. It may have maybe $1,500 earmarked in the budget to support these initiatives. That could be your $1,500. And then you might get added to their budget schedule every year after that. Doesn't hurt.
I'm starting from the bottom. Now we here. Okay.
Now we here.
All right. Oh man, we covered a lot. We covered a lot. Especially with the financial aspects. I wasn't even expecting that. So
I wasn't expecting it either. I hate accounting. I hate doing budgets. So that is my struggle bus.
Yeah. I mean, any more insight on how we can get some money? Like a personal brand, organization, like we trying to get the bag.
It's mentioned, it goes back to what you mentioned. We all try to secure that bag, sis. I understand. Having your sponsorship package together and making sure you're keeping it updated, having a media kit. If you don't know how to put one together, please hire someone to do it. I don't want to see your Word document put together what you think a media kit looks like. It looks terrible if you do it that way. But having a media kit ready to go, keeping your website up to date with any links of what you've been featured in. So that way, if they're asking for more information, you can send them either to a landing page on your website. You can give them the media kit, the link to the media kit, or the link to your sponsorship kit, and be clear about what your goals and objectives are and how that relates into their goals and objectives. Don't just shoot your shot because you're looking for money. For example, if you are a farmer's market in the area and you're looking for donations, don't just go to Safeway and like, hey, we want food. Oh, hey, we got food. Well, why do you want our food? Right. Be clear about what you're looking for, how it will benefit them, and how it ties back into supporting their local community. If the story makes sense, it makes dollars, and they will give you dollars.
Hey, there dollars and food.
Dollars and food. Yeah.
Gift cards.
Even gift cards. Yeah. Like, hey, we just want some gift cards to give away, like for this community event that we're having. And most of the time, the general manager will be the one who approves that request. But sometimes they have a community relations manager who covers their region. And that is the person you need to reach out to.
Yeah. Yeah. I know our local grocery store, HEB, they're very generous. But yeah, they'll give $250 gift cards. Obviously Starbucks.
Target does it too. Yeah.
Gotta ask.
You do, but you have to be early in your ask. Don't make these requests 2 weeks before your event, because sometimes that money has already been spent. Go to them, I would say, at least 4 to 6 months out from what you're planning. And again, be clear about what the goals are. If you could send them something to review, that would be great. And if you have an example from years prior of what you've done so they can see how their sponsorship will benefit them. Will their logo be on the website? Will it be on the flyers? How many times will you mention them on social media? Will you mention their handle or give them a shout out at the event? Can they have a representative at the event to say a few words about what they do and where they're located? Like, what is going to benefit them in this exposure? Even for these small businesses, you can hit up a small business as well, but make it make sense for what they want to achieve with their own personal marketing objectives and community relation goals.
Absolutely. Listen, I hope y'all were taking notes.
I feel like I was like teaching a class, low key, high key.
I hope y'all paused, got some pen and paper and started taking notes, and then you can listen to it again and you can share it with a friend. But this is what it's about, right? Yeah. This is about getting the information, the resources that we need to grow our personal brand, to grow our businesses, or nonprofits or organizations. It's all about growth, because if we can grow, that's when we can tap into that generational wealth we keep hearing about. But we have to get our foundations together. And that's what I'm trying to do through this podcast. So thank you for all of your insight today, Yvonne.
You're welcome.
There's already been so much, but are there any final words or anything that we haven't covered?
I think we covered the gamut of it. I would just say, for final wrap up, invest in the people, invest in the communities that have invested in you. So if you have a chance to give back through your knowledge and your expertise, teach a class to the local community about marketing. A lot of times these kids are naturally creative, but they don't know what their gifts are and how they can use them to create a career that matters for them. So if you can get involved somehow, do it, and make sure that when you do teach these classes, make yourself available to the idea of mentorship on the level you feel comfortable with. Because a lot of times seeing you in front of their face is powerful enough. So use that to your advantage and go to work.
I love it. I love it. How can people get in contact with you?
They can find me. My business Instagram is Pink Dollhouse Marketing. Website is pinkdollhousemarketing.com. And then my personal social media is at Pink Doll Style on Twitter and Instagram. Now I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not professional all the time. So if you go on my personal Instagram, I know how to code switch. Let's just say it like that. Okay. But if you want the professional side, stick to Pink Dollhouse Marketing and pinkdollhousemarketing.com.
Listen, y'all got the disclaimer. Okay. We're going to have those links in the show notes. So you can follow and lurk as you wish.
Yes. Lurk on.
It's been an absolute pleasure having this conversation with you today. I want to thank you for being a guest on the Marketing for the Culture podcast. To all of the listeners, once again, thank you for just spending your time with us. As always, peace and blessings, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Marketing for the Culture podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe, whether it's on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. And of course, our videos are on YouTube. If you have a moment, feel free to give us a rate, review, or just comment. We appreciate our sponsors for their continuous support. Also, if you're interested in learning more about our sponsors or becoming a member of the African American Marketing Association, visit aa-ma.org.